Greetings and hello. This is Master Sio coming to you from the Ahiah Center for Spiritual Living in Pasadena, California. Thank you very much for joining us here for this powerful meditation. In just a moment, if you haven't already, you will begin to feel increasing relaxation all throughout your body, and your job then would be just to observe what these sensations are that will begin to burgeon or come more and more acutely into your awareness. Prior to going into this, I would like to bring you a tiny update regarding unconditional love. Between myself and a 17-year-old girl living several thousand miles away from my home in Los Angeles. I heard about this young lady being in a wheelchair as a result of life-saving surgery performed on her brain. I think she had some water in the brain or something, but as a result of the surgery, which thankfully saved her life, she became paralyzed almost completely and has been in that sort of condition for 7 years. She was unable to focus her eyes. She seemed to not be able to hear anything. She could not respond to any requests from her parents, which are very loving parents, by the way, or from anybody else. She would just sit in her wheelchair and stare blankly into space. In any event, at the beginning of this month, of November, I heard about her, and we connected, or they heard about me, and we connected, and over the phone I was just telling her how much I loved her, and that her entire family, all her friends, and I loved her unconditionally, and were waiting for her to return to normalcy. From the very first interaction I had with her, she started to make sounds like as if she wanted to talk. And this is something that never happened since the surgery 7 years ago. So after the first maybe two, with the very first one, she started making those sounds, and her feet started to move, her hands began to move from side to side, and her eyes started to focus more intently when I started talking to her. The second session that we had, she made motions with her arm or her hand to grab the phone from her father and bring it closer to her ear. And since that time, I have interacted with her and her family just by video a few times, and each time I emphasized to her how much we loved her, just the frequency of my voice, and I think the way it also affected her parents, our frequencies together synergized, and this helped the young lady to respond more and more. And they asked me about, my advice to them was to just assure their daughter every single day that they loved her unconditionally. In the beginning, the parents were sort of skeptical. How could she respond if she had been apparently couldn't hear words or requests from them before? 7 years, mind you. And I said, just, she can hear you. Just talk to her in a loving way and tell some jokes. like I told the girl the first time that we wanted her to recover so we could all go salsa dancing. And at that point, her mom screamed, "Oh my, her legs are moving." So in the work that I do, which is spiritual healing or energetic healing, I think there is ample room to be joyful in the process of helping somebody to heal. So during this weekend of Thanksgiving, I want to tell you that I'm very grateful for the ability to help other people to help themselves. And I will bring you updates from time to time. Meanwhile, from deep within my heart, I wish you love and joy in your life. That story, of course, might be inspiration for all of us to have our faith in the idea or the truth of unconditional love. I'm sure that you yourself have experienced this kind of unconditional love in some form, to some degree, in your own personal life. And importantly, how you observed someone else responding with great excitement and gratitude when you display unconditional love toward them. You are already beginning to feel a bit more relaxed than previously, and as you listen to the sound of my voice here, please observe the sensations that will arise, such as continuing relaxation, as though you were falling asleep, possibly tingling in various parts of your body, and sometimes people experience a feeling of being very heavy, as though you can't move. Some people also feel as if they were floating in the air. There may arise some pain in different parts of your body. This would be an excellent sign that you are starting to adjust yourself more toward normalcy. I say you because the fact is all healing is done by yourself. My responsibility is to just love you unconditionally and hope that you hear and feel this love that I have for you, an extraordinarily high frequency that can travel thousands of miles. Regardless of the distance, the frequency is able to reach you. And when you receive this message of love, you begin to love yourself. And that is where the healing truly begins. And as you saw in the case of the 17-year-old lady I have been interacting with, astounding positive results can occur right here as you listen to the sound of my voice and as you observe the sensations in your body, which could range from lights emanating from here. As you look especially at my third eye, it's known that some people can see a light or things like laser beams flying everywhere, or like pastel colors moving back and forth like that. There might be some morphing of my face into different forms, such as an animal totem of some kind. A lady always sees a white wolf howling when she works with me, and sometimes people see me morphing into someone just like myself but very, very old. Others see themselves as a very young person. All these possibilities are real, and what you will see is a reflection of yourself. Not everyone experiences the same things. Some people see a bright light, others might even see darkness, which is a great occurrence if you see it. It simply means, if you see me kind of disappear, it means that you yourself have gone in your healing journey beyond the light to the very beginning of existence. So whatever you feel, you will generate more healing power for yourself. This includes any kind of visuals that you might experience. The more you observe and acknowledge what you see and feel, the deeper you will slide smoothly into the healing zone. In just a few moments, I will be quiet, and I ask you to just keep looking. Even if my eyes close, you keep looking right here or in this general area, and observe and acknowledge to yourself quietly what your experience is. And this will propel you into deeper and deeper and more profound states of healing. The energy that I project is also contained in my eyes. So over the next few moments, you'll have a chance just to look at my eyes and pick up whatever you can. If you prefer to close your eyes as you hear some very powerful statements being made in my voice, then certainly close your eyes. or you may watch for a little while, then close your eyes and fall asleep even. But it is important that you keep listening to the messages which I will be bringing to you past your conscious mind into your subconscious, where they will be residing easily and always ready to guide you automatically without any further effort on your part. Whatever I think about and believe will ultimately become the reality of my experience. This is why I use positive statements to reprogram my thought patterns and to ensure that only positive beliefs are held deeply and consistently within my consciousness. This provides a massive boost to my law of attraction efforts. The law of attractions works. My beliefs manifest my reality. I attract success into my life. I use positive thinking and beliefs to manifest a positive life for myself. I have the power to create my own reality. I attract into my life whatever I want. My thoughts create my reality. I believe in the law of attraction. I have the power to manifest my dreams. I do believe deeply that I can achieve anything I desire. The law of attraction is working for me. I always will think positively about all my goals. I am gaining control over my thought patterns every single day. I am manifesting my destiny with every thought and every action in every day. Each day, I believe that the law of attraction works more and more in my favor. I will transform my life using the law of attraction. My powers of manifestation are growing every moment, every hour of every day, indefinitely. The law of attraction transforms my life all the time. My mind becomes more positive every single day. I am gaining control over my mind, my thought patterns, and my whole life. It's easy for me to control my thinking, the way that I view everything in my life. Manifesting is effortless for me. Maintaining a positive state of mind is very easy for me. I conduct my life in positive directions with the power of positive thinking. Manifesting my dreams into reality is something that I do naturally, easily, and often, all the time actually. The law of attraction gives me the power to realize all my dreams. Attracting success is a normal and regular part of my life. My life is filled with abundance and joy. My positive mindset attracts circumstances that bring me success. I practice this every single day of my life. It's very easy for me to attract into my life whatever I need. Whatever I think about and believe will ultimately become the reality of my experience. I state positive affirmations daily to reprogram my thinking and to ensure that positive beliefs are held deeply and consistently within my consciousness. This always provides a massive boost to my law of attraction. I use positive thinking and beliefs to manifest a positive life for myself. I have the power to create my own reality. I attract into my life whatever I want. My thoughts create my reality. I believe in the law of attraction. I have the power to manifest my dreams. I do believe deeply that I can achieve anything I desire. The law of attraction is working for me. I always will think positively about all my goals. I am gaining control over my thought patterns every single day. I am manifesting my destiny. And now, please gently open your eyes. Gently open your eyes. And as you look around, you will notice that the room looks much brighter. All the colors will appear to be much more vivid, and you feel lighter and more hopeful about your life. So I want to thank you again for joining us in this meditation. If you could, please join our celebration service shortly to follow, led by our senior minister, the Reverend Scott Olson. This is Master Sio. Thank you.
So thank you, Master CEO. I'm so happy that you're here again this Sunday, that you have brought your consciousness to this healing service and are helping us to raise our frequency and our immunity. And this is such an important time for us to be increasing our immunity right now with the pandemic. So I want to ask the people who have come here to see you today if they'd be willing to donate a few dollars, maybe $5 to Ahiah. And you can do that one of three different ways. They're showing up on your screen right now. You can either go to ahiah.com/donate and donate there. You can text to give by texting to our this telephone number that's here, 616-229-2225. And we always love to get checks, so you can send us a check at Ahiah at 150 North El Molino Avenue, Pasadena, California, 91101. And we love to see you in our Sunday service. It's coming up in just a few moments. I hope to see you there. Thank you, and namaste.
Greetings and welcome to live streaming from beautiful downtown Pasadena. This is the Ahiah Center for Spiritual Living, coming to you live from Facebook, YouTube, and the Zoom platform. I'm Reverend Michael Bernard Lattimore, your assistant minister. Honored to be your host and to introduce our service and all of the beloved ones who make today's service possible. Our theme for this month is still Compassionate Conduits, reminding us that we are the channel for the goodness of the divine in the world. The wisdom talk today is a mouthful. I'll read it to you. It is the Grateful and Cheerful Receiver. Got it. Our musical inspiration today is our beloved Alison Lewis. Voice just divine. You will be sure to love her. She is accompanied by our musical director, licensed practitioner Chris Glick. He'll be over there tickling those keys as always. He's accompanied by Leon Johnson on the bass and Brian Menifee on percussion. So they are sure to lift us into some heavenly straits this afternoon, this morning, today. Also, our practitioner of the day is Kelly Metcalf, practitioner emeritus. That means that she has been praying since she came onto this plane. She will uplift us with the invocation, the inspirational reading, so we'll be sure to enjoy her loving consciousness. Also, in the Facebook chat room is Louise Mucha moderating. Please be sure to say hi to her and to chat up all of your beloved fellow live streamers. On the Zoom room is our beloved Mindy Morrison. She'll be facilitating the Zoom room live streaming. And of course, on YouTube is the beloved, effervescent, vivacious, added another one in there for you, Peter Bedard. He is going to be facilitating and moderating the YouTube streaming. So we're sure to have fun on all three platforms. If you're feeling excited, a little bit frisky, you can just load up all three platforms and watch it in real time all over the place. So let's get ready for God's party. If you would join with me as we prepare to move into the meditation, just draw in a deep centering breath, centering yourself in the here and now.
There are places I remember all my life. Though some have changed, some forever, not for better. Some have gone and some remain. All these places have their moments with lovers and friends. I still can recall some are dead and some are living. In my life, I've loved them all. But of all these friends and lovers, there is no one compares with you. And these memories lose their meaning when I think of love as something new. affection for people and things that went before. Though I know I'll often stop and think about them. In my life, I love you more. Though I know I'll never lose affection for people and things that went before. Though I know I'll often stop and think about them. In my life, I love you more. In my life, I love you more.
Good morning, my Ahiah family. It is so nice to be here with you, even if it is virtual. One day we will get to be together again and hug again. But in the meantime, let's stay safe and healthy and enjoy our family in a different way. We're stretching our flexibility muscle, right? So today I have a reading for you from The Power of Kindness by Piero Ferrucci. A Jewish tale tells us of a good king who is dying. Before all his weeping subjects, he calls for someone to bring him an arrow and asks the weakest of them to break it. The man does so with ease. Then he asks for a bundle of arrows bound together and asks the strongest of them to break it. Despite all his efforts, the man cannot do it. To his subject, he says, "As my inheritance, I bequeath to you the union among you all. Be united with one another. This oneness will give you great strength, which alone you would never be able to attain." The sense of belonging, that is the feeling that we are a part of a whole greater than ourselves, with which we are physically, mentally, and spiritually involved, is a necessary factor to our well-being. Furthermore, when we feel isolated, we will seek some affliction at all costs, even with groups that are violent, dangerous, extremists. This is one of the reasons many adolescents are attracted to gangs, cults, and sects. A typical profile of a young person at risk includes confusion of identity, alienation from the family, weak links with the community, feelings of impotence, and an unfulfilled need for belonging. If you grew up without truly being included by family or school or society in which you live, you will feel the need to be important to other human beings, whom you recognize as similar to you, and who in turn recognize you as similar to them. That is the way into a cult, and it can be hard to find the way out. Unless we have always been monstrously popular, all of us have in our history some episode in which we experienced exclusion. No one wanted to play with us when we were kids, or we were not invited to a party, or we were left off the soccer team. My most vivid recollection of exclusion is from my senior high school years. The teacher was assigning topics for research that was to be carried out in pairs or groups. The other students were choosing topics and partners for this task. It soon became obvious that no one wanted to work with me. There was a moment of icy silence in which I felt like a fragment lost in space and without contacts. Then one of my classmates, Guido, offered to work with me and save the day. What immense relief. Did he step forward purely out of sympathy or because he really wanted to be my partner? It did not really matter. I was safe because however imperfectly, I too belonged. So join me now in affirmative prayer. There is one divine presence, all powerful, all knowing, all wise. It is the infinite intelligence that created all of life, that continues to create all of life, that continues to sustain and empower all of life, for it is the eternal one. It has always been and it always will be. And so it is right here where I am and right wherever you are. We all belong together in this one human family. So I claim that this day is a day of creativity, of worship, of enthusiasm for life, of knowing that we each have an integral part in all that is undertaking right now. For spirit, divine mind is always expanding and always expressing in greater ways. So I claim for each one of us that we are the channel. We are the Guido in someone's life that puts out a hand of kindness, that puts out an encouraging word, that gives a pat on the back, whether it's to ourselves or whether it's physically to someone else. It is a way of empowering greater love. So I declare that we are indeed a community of love, of appreciation, of mutual respect. And as we are that at Ahiah, so it radiates out from us and touches the world and creates more and more of that in humanity as a whole. For we are one human family, all of us together. And the more we each embrace that in our hearts, the more it becomes reality on the seen side of life. So I bless this service. I bless all that partake in bringing it to us. I bless Reverend Scott and his message, and Reverend Michael and the musicians, for I know that they are touching hearts and touching minds and changing the world. So I delight in knowing that we are joined together as one, as one. So with love and peace, I simply release this, my word, with a grateful heart to the law that makes it so. And so it is. Amen. Have a glorious day, my family. Bye for now.
Hi, my name is Alison Lewis, and I'm so very, very happy to be here on this beautiful Sunday morning. This first song is called May I Suggest, and it's by Susan Werner. May I suggest, may I suggest to you, may I suggest this is the best part of your life. May I suggest this time is blessed for you. This time is blessed and shining, almost blinding bright. Just turn your head and you'll begin to see the thousand reasons that were just beyond your sight. The reasons why I suggest to you, why I suggest this is the best part of your life. There is a world that's been addressed to you, intended only for your eyes. suggest to you, yes, I suggest this is the best part of your life. There is a hope that's been expressed in you, a hope of 7 generations, maybe more. There is the faith that they invest in you. It's that you'll do one better than was done before. And when they're gone, inside you understand, inside you know it's yours to finally set right. And I suggest, yes, I suggest to you, yes, I suggest this is the best part of your life. This is a song, comes from the west to you, comes from the west, comes from the slowly setting sun. This is a song with a request of you to see how very short the endless days roll by. And when they're gone, and when the dark descends, we'd give anything for one more hour of light. And I suggest this is the best part of your
Well, thank you, Alison Lewis. That's a wonderful, beautiful song, and it's beautifully sung too, by the way. And one of the lines in there is, "I suggest that this is the best time of your life." And I believe that to always be true if we choose it to be true. So here we are at choice once again. So my name is Reverend Scott Olson. I'm the senior minister here at Ahiah Center for Spiritual Living. It's so good for us to be able to get together this way in this virtual space like this. It makes me very happy to know that we're connecting this way. And what I'm knowing is that our center is not just virtual, that our center is very much alive and well here in downtown Pasadena, just 1.5 blocks north of Colorado Boulevard, that road that you see the Rose Parade going down every year. And that we are going to be coming back. Right now we're totally virtual, as in we don't have anything going on at the center, but when this pandemic is over and we're able to do more here at the center, we will be doing more here at the center. And what I know about this space, whether it's virtual or real, is that this is a place where people are safe. And we're safe because it doesn't really matter whether you're gay or straight, black or white, I don't know, carnivore, omnivore, herbivore, it doesn't matter who we are in the outside world. We are people. We are all individualized expressions of the divine. And so as we come together, what is true of Ahiah is that we treat everybody with respect, that all people are welcome here. And so we are a beloved community right now, and we are working towards becoming more of the capital B, the most beloved that we could possibly be, because we'll be doing some workshops around racism in America and what we can do about that. And if you want to join us, I would love to have you there. It will be at 7 o'clock on December 7th will be our first one. It's called Creating the Beloved Community. So we're working with the theme for November of living as compassionate conduits. And we've been doing this for a little while because this Sunday is actually the 5th Sunday of the month. So we've had 4 Sundays already. And way back on that first Sunday, we started talking about what is a conduit. And we said that, Thomas Troward told us that we are all divine distributors of all of God's good, and that we get to be that distributor if we choose to, right? And I love this idea of being a divine distributor of all of God's good because it makes me happy. It makes my heart glad, right? Then we started out 3 weeks ago. We said that a talk title of What is God Giving You? And I told everyone that God is constantly giving all of itself to each and every one of us, and we get to keep what we're willing to receive. And so that puts us, once again, at choice. We're going to be talking a lot about choice this month, and we have talked a lot about choice this month. And so we are choosing what we want to receive, and based on what we choose, it builds the world around us. So our own lives are built based on what we're willing to receive. And 2 weeks ago, the talk title was How Engaged is God as Us? And I talked about the prophets of the Old Testament in that talk. And I think they have something to teach us even today. There were a bunch of prophets in the Old Testament, and they had a couple of things in common. The first one is that each and every one of them was called forward to know Spirit more fully, more completely. Remember, Ezekiel saw the wheel way up in the middle of the sky, and we get to know Spirit in whatever form that we want. But when we know it deeply enough, it just fills our heart up. And when our heart is full, we tend to go out and take some action. And what the prophets did was they went out and talked about social justice issues. And their social justice issues in those days were primarily about the haves versus the have-nots, the poor and the sick, the orphaned. And how do we take care of those in a just society? And I think that's still an issue that we can talk about, and we need prophets today to stand up and speak. And I think, to be honest, that we are all called to be a prophet. And then last week, the talk title was God is not motivated if we aren't. And, both Reverend Mike and I were like, how can you think God's not motivated, right? But in some ways, God is motivated. God is motivated as that still small voice that's constantly whispering to us. And what it's whispering us to do and to think and to be is more and more in alignment with what it is. More love, more peace, more joy in the universe. But one of the things I said last week was I talked about the Hopi Indian prophecy from the year 2000, and they said, we are the ones we've been waiting for. And that's true of every last one of us. We are the ones we have been waiting for, because Spirit is not motivated for us personally unless we are motivated also. Right? If we don't say yes, Spirit can't give us anything. And so the question to ask is, what are we motivated to do? And we need to look at that and how do we want to show up in the world? So we got, this last Sunday, talk a little bit more. And so we're going to start out by asking Reverend Mike to tell us a little bit more about how he knows he's living as a compassionate conduit.
This month's theme is Compassionate Conduits, reminding us that we are the channel through which the goodness of the Most High is revealed. Today's wisdom talk is the Grateful and Cheerful Receiver. It reminds me of the spiritual truth that the divine is always giving. Always giving. It's its nature to give. It gives to the lilies of the field. Its eye is on the sparrow. And we know that it's constantly giving itself to us through the beating of our hearts, the breathing of our breath, and the very nature of this prana, this life force that keeps us alive. There's a divine order and balance in the universe, in this power that has created 10 billion stars, 10 billion galaxies, 10 billion universes, untold dimensions that we know not of. Mind-boggling. It's created this quantum field that connects us, even here and now. For as I speak today, my word goes forth into the future. You may be watching this decades later, and yet still feeling the energetic of the words in which I speak, and this co-creative medium that we are participating in right now. When I ring a bell, it sounds like the bell's ends. The sound goes off until we can no longer hear it. So too our life. It appears that our life ends, and yet this co-creative spirit that we call the divine presence is never ending, cannot die. And its creations never die. Its energy never dissipates. It simply changes form. And so our very lives, like the ringing of that bell, go forth to show up in the halls of time. So the divine presence is always giving of itself. It's giving of its energy, its consciousness. It feeds us. It beats our heart, breathes our breath, and we must be able to transmit that givingness. That which it gives to us is not meant for us to hoard or hold on to. It's meant for us to share with the world. Everything is energy. We are existing in a quantum field of energy that holds our thoughts, our feelings, our emotions, even our love is energy. Our fear is energy. If you walk into a room where something horrible has happened, you immediately feel the energy, even though you may not intellectually know what happened in that room. So our thoughts as energy, we think them over and over again, and they become the energy of our beliefs. And the energy of our beliefs become the energy of our words. And the energy of our words become the energy of our behaviors, our actions in this world that we are co-creating together. Even the written word has energy. Writing a word down on paper contains energy. When your child or your beloved one writes you a note or writes certain words that contain that heartfelt energy of love, you can read those words decades later and still feel the energy of those words. I have here words from my beloved daughter. It says, "Dad, there are things we think about the people we love, things we remember, things we don't always say. We store them in our hearts, but sometimes we keep them secret. I wanted to share those things with you in these pages because they make me happy. And I think it's time for you to know them too. I'm grateful for everything we share. With love always, your daughter." When I read these words, the energy contained in them makes my eyes leak, makes my heart open. Powerful energy, never dissipates, simply changes forms. Many years ago, I was struggling to create a new life. I reached out to get a mentor, to get a sponsor, somebody who could help me think new thoughts, create some new beliefs, and desperately try to create a new life that I wanted to live. I was troubled with 64,000 thoughts in a day. Thoughts just of fear, anxiety, of worry, nonstop. I was overwhelmed with these thoughts. And I remember going to the phone booth, dropping a dime in the phone booth and calling my sponsor, Bob, I need help. And he told me once, he says, listen, I'm going to tell you something. He says, and I want you to listen really closely. He says, you'll never be able to think yourself out of those thoughts. He says, it's virtually impossible to think yourself into right action. He says, but you can act yourself into right thinking. Remember that. It's easier to act yourself into right thinking than it is to think yourself into right action. I was like, whoa. And then he said, I want you to write a gratitude list. I thought, a gratitude list? What? And he says, every time you're tempted to think those thoughts, keep it in your pocket, you pull it out, you write down something that you're grateful for. Right? Those words changed my life. Because today, 33 years later, I have gratitude list as a practice that helps me to shift my energy, for me to move from the basement of my lower vibrations into the upper room of my joy. You see, our mind is like a house. The scripture says, in my house are many rooms. And I've got rooms down in the basement. Down in those rooms, there is the vibration, the energy, the thoughts of fear, anxiety, despair, worry, blind faith in the worst possible outcome, depression, darkness. It's virtually impossible to use the mind that put me down there to get up out of there. And so I use my gratitude list so that I can catch the elevator. And that brings me up to this place right here, the place of knowingness, where I know and know that I know. And that's right next to this place that reminds me that I'm loved. And it is from this place, the living room where I live, that I can hop into the heart and catch this wonder-filled escalator called courage that rockets me up into the upper room. And in that place, I can experience joy. I can experience hope. I can experience faith, possibility. I can get even to the place of knowing that I know, not even knowing how I know, but to the place of knowing that I know, the place of intuition, where I am in the fifth dimension, basically. And that elevator from my heart taking me up has to be activated by the gratitude list. And that gratitude list reminds me of all the things that I am grateful for. And I'll share a little bit of my gratitude list with you. What I'm grateful for is life, for love, for prosperity and abundance raining down in my life like Niagara Falls. Everything that I touch turns to gold and goodness. What I'm grateful for is for the word that is creative, that's in me, and it goes forth to create that which I send it to do. I'm grateful that this word of the Most High is full of power, and it springs forth from my voice. I'm grateful that even before I call, the Spirit of the universe has answered me and said yes. I'm grateful that the divine presence knows me, that even before I was formed in my mother's womb, it knew my name, it knew my nature, it knew the purpose of my being. I'm grateful that all power is given to me from this divine Mother, Father, God, who has created me out of itself. I'm grateful that I am one with all of life. I'm grateful that I can do all things through the Christ presence inside of me. I'm grateful that I remember that I'm a divine being having a human experience, created in the image and likeness of God, and that I can at any time experience peace of mind, divine guidance, and divine right action in all that I do. I am grateful to remember that because God is, I am. An old timer once told me, he said, if you can remember to say, God is, that's a conscious contact. And because God is always conscious, that is a prayer sufficient unto itself. And so my invitation to you today is to get a gratitude list. Give yourself that divine gift of gratitude. Yes, so that you can be that cheerful receiver, radiating goodness and hope and the light to this world that we are co-creating together. Namaste, family.
So thank you, Reverend Mike. I'm so looking forward to working with you on that, creating the beloved community. So today, we're going to be finishing out the November theme, and today's talk title is The Grateful and Cheerful Receiver. And yes, I did truly say receiver, the cheerful receiver. And a lot of people, they don't really think of it as being a cheerful receiver because they were probably asked many times in their lives to be a cheerful giver. And that idea of being a cheerful giver, I think it comes from the Bible. In fact, in 2 Corinthians, which is out of the New Testament, Paul writes a letter to the Corinthians because they've promised to give him a lot of stuff. And so he sends some messengers out ahead of himself, and he's going to go get it. But he sends these messengers with a letter to them before he goes. And the passage out of the Bible that is about the cheerful giver is Corinthians 2, chapter 9, verse 7, and it says, each of you must give as you have made up your mind, not reluctantly or under compulsion, for God loves a cheerful giver. And I think that, being a cheerful giver is a wonderful thing, but I have something to admit to you, right? I intrinsically am more of a cheerful receiver. And I say that not because today's world I'm not more balanced, but because as a child, the way I was brought up, it tended to create within me this place of being a cheerful receiver, much more than being a cheerful giver. And the reason that was true was because, I lived a wild, chaotic childhood. My parents were crazy. My mother was married twice before she married my father, and she had a child in each one of those marriages. And then she married my father, had me, divorced him, married my stepfather. Fortunately, didn't have any children there. And so one of the things that I experienced as a child was that, things were just crazy, moving around all the time. I moved constantly. I changed schools 12 times by the 5th grade. And I remember, by the third grade, I just got to the point where it was time to change school, and I would just have my mom drop me off in front of the school, and I would go to the office, and I would check myself in, basically. I don't think they would do that anymore, but they did it back when I was a kid. And so, that was kind of crazy. But then there was also the economics of my life and how, sometimes we were firmly middle class and other times we were well below the poverty line. And so what that did, that yo-yo experience that I had of sometimes being on top and sometimes being on the bottom was, I kind of expected to be a receiver. I'd been on top. In fact, my mother, when I was about 8 years old, she told me a story of how, when I was born, we had owned this big ranch in Colorado, and that my father, he drove a Cadillac. And between those two things, in my mind, it meant that we were rich. And I used to tell myself that, I was born with a silver spoon in my mouth and somebody had ripped it out. But I expected that silver spoon to come back eventually. And so I was always expecting my good to come. And I was always, expecting, and therefore I always was, a cheerful receiver of whatever good came my way. Now, I said I wasn't much of a cheerful giver, and fortunately, that was true of my childhood. My mom told me I didn't have to share my toys, and it was also true of my young adult life. I kept my stuff to myself primarily, and I didn't give a lot to people. And fortunately, I found this philosophy about 20 years ago. And when I found this philosophy, I learned to add a layer on top of that foundation that was built as my childhood that made me a cheerful receiver. I added another layer on top of that made me a cheerful receiver also. A cheerful giver also. And the reason I did that was because I came to the realization that Spirit loves a flow. Spirit intrinsically works in a law of circulation where we give to receive and we receive to give, and we just keep going around and around and around in that circle. And so that's the way life is. And if we can balance ourselves between how we are a cheerful receiver and a cheerful giver, then we're going to be most in tune with Spirit, and we're going to have the greatest impact in our life. We will be more prosperous that way. Ernest Holmes, he has a quote out of the Living the Science Mind. The first half of it is something that I love because I use it with prayer beads as a chant, and it goes like this: there is one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. That life is my life now. And if you say that another 107 times, I guarantee you will be very, very centered at the end of that. But the quote goes on. It goes on to say, "It is flowing through me, circulating in me. I am one with its rhythm." And boy, when we are in the flow, Spirit is asking us to be in that flow. And when we are in the flow, everything's right in the world. We are, we have Spirit circulating in me. We're in rhythm with the universe. And everything just kind of moves forward with joy, confidence, and ease. And so we want to give so that we can receive, and receive so that we can give. And talking about receiving, this last Thursday was Thanksgiving Day. And what I'm hoping is that even though this was a funny Thanksgiving with the epidemic and all, that you were still able to see a way of being happy for what you were given that Thursday on that day, that Thanksgiving Day. I recognized kind of early before Thanksgiving that I was starting to have negative thoughts around Thanksgiving. I noticed a thought in particular where I was thinking that virtual dinner doesn't fill me up. And I caught myself, fortunately, early on that, and I thought, I can't let that stand like that. I need to put this more into perspective. And so once I did that, I started looking for reasons to be thankful, and I found plenty of reasons to be thankful. I was so, I can be thankful for my family. I can be thankful for the food that came to me, however it came to me. I can be thankful for the world, moving forward in the way the world is moving forward right now. And so I was able to change that idea of being, being kind of down about Thanksgiving to being, yes, this is Thanksgiving, and I am going to be grateful for what I receive. And so once I am grateful for what I receive, then I can give from the fullness that I am, and I can get back in that cycle. But I am a choice at that. I'm a choice at being willing to give, and I'm a choice at being willing to receive. Cheerfully give, cheerfully receive. So how can we be become a cheerful receiver, if we don't really feel that that's our forte right now, how can we, get better at it? Well, one of the things I think is we have a obligation to receive in the correct way. And I don't know that we always think about exactly how we're receiving, but there's really two fundamental ways of receiving that I think about anyway. One is that we can receive by competing, and the other is that we can receive by creating. Competing, creating. Which do you think is the right way to do it? Well, I think it's pretty obvious that we should be creating if we can, right? That instead of competing and making it a zero-sum game out in the world, we should instead be creating all of our good, and then we can share from that. And so I think we're pretty familiar with how creation or how competition works. We see it in the world all around us. We're told that the early bird gets the worm, which doesn't mean that he gets a worm and then you get a worm. It just means the early bird gets the worm, and the bird that comes later doesn't get one. And so we're taught to compete in the world all the time. And I wanted to give you an example of kind of a competition in my mind anyway. Back in the day, before I became a minister, I used to be in the choir all the time in my spiritual community. And there was a beautiful, lovely person, another guy that was a regular singer there. And I'm more of a background singer, and he's a little closer to being like a professional singer. And I used to like to stand close to him because he was in tune. And, if you've sung in a choir, not everybody is in tune, and it doesn't really matter because when you listen to a bunch of people sing, it's the blend of the voices that makes it sound great. And not everybody needs to be in tune for it to sound great. But I wanted to be in tune, so I would stand kind of close to him so I could hear him more than everybody else. And he used to joke with me, and he would tell me I was in his light, get out of his light, right? And I was never quite sure whether he was joking, or joking, telling the truth. We all kind of know of people in the world who do that. Maybe somebody who's in the limelight right now. But anyway, I was never quite sure where it was. And it didn't really matter because he was a wonderful guy and I loved him. But it gets me thinking now that, spirit is an infinite light. And the truth is that I can't stand in your spiritual light. I might be able to stand in your stage light, but I can't stand in your spiritual light. And so if what you're looking for is adoration and adulation, and you need to be in the light for people to see you, to give you that, then if we're competing, then you're going to see me in your light, and I'm diminishing you by doing that. But I think the real way to do it, to look at it, is there's infinite light out there. Nobody can really stand between you and your light. And so I want to give you an example of what I mean by creation. There's lots and lots of ways of creating, but fundamentally when we create, what it means is that we are looking at the universe with expectancy that it's going to give us what we need. That's how we create, because out of that expectancy, spirit creates into our world, and we have so much that we can just give some of it away. That's how that works. And so an example of that is my dog at home. I have a standard poodle at home. His name is Ganesh. And he's just a big lover. He's 2.5 years old, and he's not a little poodle. He's 55 pounds. And so, he can't sit in my lap really, but what he'll do is when he wants affection, he'll come and he'll put his head on my leg, and he'll just stare at me with this this expectancy that I am going to give him the affection that he desires, because the truth is he always gets the affection that he desires. And so, yes, eventually I'll notice him, and then I'll invite him up, and I'll rub his ears and rub his belly and tell him I love him. And when he's done, then he gets down and he goes off and chews his bone. So, but that's the way of creating in the world. He has an expectancy that, yeah, absolutely, I'm going to get this. And imagine that. It just shows up. So we have the choice today. We are a choice in all of these ways we've talked about over the last, 5 weeks. We've talked about choice in so many ways, and today we're saying you have a choice. You have a choice of being a grateful receiver. You can also be a grateful giver. But it is a choice that you're making. And if you're going to choose to be a grateful receiver, the best way to be a grateful receiver is by doing it with a sense of creation versus competition. So I want to leave you with an affirmation today. It's here on the screen, and you can go ahead and read it along with me if you want. It goes like this. I stand with my body and heart open to goodness, and I know that there is nothing that separates me from the river of life that flows through me as I give and I receive. So as you go out into your week this week, what I'd like you to remember is to, first of all, remember to be a prophet. A prophet in your own life, a prophet in your own world where you know Spirit and then you take action based upon knowing Spirit so fully, so completely. And then second, when you go out to receive your good and be a cheerful receiver, do it from a place of creation versus competition. And then last of all, if you are ever in doubt about what to do, as always, just let Spirit be your guide. Thank you, and namaste. And so now join me as we anchor in a few of these ideas with a little bit of prayer. As I turn within, I know absolutely that there is only one life, one power, one presence. This life that is Spirit, this life that is everywhere, this life that is divine. And I know this life fully and completely as a creative essence that's creating out of itself with love, as joy, as peace, as harmony, as prosperity. And as that's the truth of God, I know it to be the truth of me, and I know it to be the truth of you. I know it to be the truth of all life, that we are living our lives in, as, and through the life of love, the life of peace, the life of joy, that this life permeates us, that this life expresses through us and as us, as that love and peace and joy. And so it's from that place of knowing this that I speak my word for myself, for you, for all of our community and beyond, knowing absolutely that this life, this power, this presence shows up in our lives as love. And we get to spread that love. We get to be compassionate conduits, distributing the love that God is all over the world. And I know absolutely that the joy and the peace and the harmony that God is the truth of us. And so even in this pandemic, what I'm knowing is there's a place within us that still knows joy. There's a place within us that still knows the truth of the peace that God is. I know absolutely as that peace shows up in our lives that we know that we have a place within us that we can just rest in, a place that is always safe, a place that is always at peace. And so I know intrinsically as us and through us, we just need to reach out just a little bit and reveal the truth that was always there, the truth of the love and the peace and the joy that God is. And that when we do that, it naturally creates into our lives. I'm absolutely knowing that there is a wholeness and an order that is the truth of each and every one of us. And so in our body temple, there is a natural intrinsic order that is divine. There's a divine blueprint that knows what to do, doesn't need to be told, doesn't really need doctors or anything, but I am knowing that if there are doctors in place, that they are divinely guided and divinely inspired on our behalf. But this intrinsic knowledge of our bodies just heals itself, and that healing is a revealing of the truth that has always been there. And so for knowing all this, I just give thanks. And I release this prayer to the law, knowing that it's already fulfilled in the mind that God is. And I say life and God are good and very good. And together we say, and so it is. Amen and amen. And so now is the time for our conscious contributions. And so I know that many of you have already given online to Ahiah, and I want to say thank you so much for that truth. But if you haven't given already, there are 3 different ways for you to give to Ahiah, and they're showing up on our screen right now. One is to go to our website and go to ahiah.com/donate, and then you can click the donate button there, and you'll be able to put in your credit card information in the usual way. Another one is to text to give. So you text an amount that you want to give to 616-229-2225. And the third is to mail it to us. I love getting the mail. Derek opens it all up, and I get to see the cards and everything, and I get to read your cards. And I appreciate the well wishes and the love for this community that you put into those cards. So thank you. And so however you give, what I'm knowing is that your gift is essential and that goes to Ahiah, and it allows us to do the mission that we have here, whether it's here in this service or it's throughout the week and the other things that we do, like the book study and the healing service and all number of different things that we do with this community. So if you'd like to go ahead and virtually take your gift and hold it to your heart, and you can say the quote or the blessing along with me. This gift I give is God in action. I send it forth with joy, confidence, and ease. I am blessed by the law of giving and receiving as I now share my gift with life. Pressed down, shaken together, and running over. And so it is. Amen and amen. And so now is Alison Lewis again for a beautiful song.
Hi, this is Alison Lewis, and I'm back again for a second song by one of my favorite songwriters, Daniel Nahmod. It's called Get Ready, My Soul.
Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, to the sweetest kind of life. Get ready, my soul. Everything I've ever done, everything I've ever seen, everything I've lost or won, everything I've ever dreamed has brought me here to the present moment, here to a new beginning here, and I'm seeing things so clearly. 'Cause here I go, deeper, deeper, deeper than I've ever been before. Here I go, closer, closer, closer to my sacred source. Here I go, deeper, deeper, deeper than I've ever been before. Here I go, closer, closer, closer to my sacred source. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the sweetest kind of love, to the deepest kind of love. Get ready, my soul. Get ready, my soul.
And so now's the time for a few announcements. First up, I want to remind you, I've talked about it a couple of times already, that we're going to be having a Creating the Beloved Community workshop on 7 o'clock on December 7th, which is a week from Monday, a week from tomorrow. And I really hope that you'll join us there. We've already done a bunch of work through our Ubuntu circles as well as our Me and White Supremacy circle. And so now is the time for all of us to come together and, really build the capital B beloved community. I really hope to see you there. Put it on your calendars, please. And you can go there. On December 7th, you can get to the Zoom room by going to ahiah.com/virtual. Hope to see you there.
Hey everyone. This holiday season, Ahiah is partnering with IREP to provide hygiene kits for the unhoused and vulnerable. From today through Saturday, December 5th, you can support this effort in 2 ways. The first option is to make a monetary donation for Ahiah to purchase these items. Please text the word KITS, KITS, to 616-229-2225. The second option is to drop off hygiene items at Ahiah between now and Saturday, December 5th. You can email Reverend Mike at revmichaelbernard@gmail.com to arrange for your drop-off. Remember to please wear a mask. The items needed for a hygiene kit donation are washcloths, snacks, but no nuts, white socks, 1.5-gallon plastic bags, hand sanitizer, unopened disposable masks, cloth reusable masks, travel-size versions of shampoo, conditioner, soap, and toothpaste, sanitary supplies for women, packaged toothbrushes, bottled water, and purses, duffel bags, and backpack donations. If you have any questions about any of the items needed for the hygiene kits or how to make a donation, you can always email Reverend Mike at revmichaelbernard@gmail.com. Thank you.
Good morning, Ahiah family. It's time again to support the Friends Indeed annual Angel Toy Drive. We have identified 25 children from our community, and I hope you will join me in adopting a child and giving them a Christmas gift. Our loving donations will put a smile on a child's face. Due to the pandemic, we have a way to do this with little exposure for any of us. I will be picking out gift cards for each child. Please go to the Ahiah website, use the Donate tab, and drop down to Angel Toy Drive to make your donation. Or you can always mail a check to Ahiah with Angel Toy Drive on the memo line. I will match you with a child and give you a call to let you know what gift card I purchased for them. I will need your donations by December 11th. Please feel free to contact me directly if you have questions or need assistance. Thank you in advance for your generosity. Season's greetings.
And so I'd like to ask you one more favor, which is that this coming Tuesday is Giving Tuesday, which is a time when a lot of people decide they're going to give a little bit extra to different charities, and maybe charities that they don't normally give to. And so what I'd like to ask you is if you would go to the Ahiah page. You can go to Facebook and search for Ahiah Center for Spiritual Living, and that will take you to our Facebook page. And there you'll find in the posts from us, you'll find a Giving Tuesday post. If you would share that with your family and friends, I would really appreciate it. It would give them an opportunity to share their good with us and to support you and your community. And it would help us to expand our giving base a little bit by getting other interested people to donate to Ahiah. So if you would do that, I'd appreciate it. Thank you. And so now join me in our benediction that's here on the screen. You can read along with me. Something wonderful is happening through me right now. It is this thing called life. Life is in my mind. Life is in my body. Life is in all of my affairs. I accept it. I am it, and I share it, just the way it appears and just the way it appears not. Thank you, life. Amen and amen. And so we're through here today. I want to just thank everybody for participating in the service. And we're going to be having our fellowship in our Zoom room in just a few minutes. I will certainly be there. And I would love to talk to you. So come on down. We'd love to get to know you a little bit better. You can reach the Zoom room by going to ahiah.com/virtual and then clicking the Go to Zoom. Hope to see you there.